The truth about GDP ranking. Has India overtaken Japan, or is the story still incomplete? Breaking news is flashing on the TV screen. The anchor is saying with enthusiasm, India has now become the world's fourth largest economy, Japan has been left behind. People sitting at home are smiling with pride. But in the kitchen of the same house, the gas cylinder bill is kept, the child's school fees are pending, and the father is wondering how to manage expenses until the salary comes. The fear begins right here, because a country's GDP headline can go up, but if the common man's income, job and savings haven't increased, the celebration remains incomplete. The curiosity is, if India is truly becoming a larger economy than Japan, then why doesn't the life of an average Indian look like that of an average Japanese citizen? First of all, understand what GDP ranking tells us. GDP shows the total value of goods and services produced in a country in 1 year. If a country's population is very large, its total GDP can be large. But this does not mean that every citizen has become rich. India's strength is its scale. Here the population is very large, the market is very big, consumption is very large, and the growth potential is also very big. Japan's story is different. Japan's population is low, the economy is mature, technology is advanced, and the average citizen's income is many times higher than India's. This is the place where the headline and reality diverge. India might come close to Japan in total GDP, but the comparison in per capita income is still very far off. In the 2024 World Bank data, India's per capita GDP was about $2,700, while Japan's was over $32,000. Meaning, the gap at the average level is very large. Its simple meaning is, the country's total economy can look large, but the average income coming into a citizen's share can still be very low. That is why when someone says that India has overtaken Japan, the next question should be, in which measurement did it overtake? If the talk is about nominal GDP, then it is heavily influenced by exchange rates, inflation and dollar value. If the rupee becomes weak or strong, the ranking can change. The IMF estimates of April 2025 created the possibility of showing India narrowly ahead of Japan. On this basis, many statements and headlines were made. But in the IMF estimates of April 2026, Japan and the UK again appear above India. This means that such a ranking is not a fixed truth, but a changing estimate. This is the reason why any GDP rank should not be understood like a final victory medal, but like an economic snapshot. A snapshot can be beautiful, but it does not tell the whole film. The film is understood only when we also look at income, jobs, inequality, health, education, and purchasing power. India's growth is real. India's growth rate is considered strong among the world's major economies, and this is a positive thing for the country. But growth does not just mean that the economy is getting bigger. The real question is growth making the common family's life easier? If GDP increases, but the youth do not get a stable job, then the family's tension does not decrease. If salary increases slowly and expenses increase rapidly, then one does not feel the growth. Japan's economy grows slowly, but the level of infrastructure, public services, health system, safety and average income there is very high. In India, there is talk of highways, digital payments, airports and manufacturing, but along with that, talk on job quality and income security is also necessary. A country's strength is not measured only by skyscrapers. Strength is also measured by how secure a lower-income family feels. Inequality is a big issue in India. The income and wealth of some people increase very rapidly, but a large population still remains stuck in daily expenses. If the benefit of the economy's growth stops more at the top, then despite GDP growth, a big difference does not come into the common man's life. This is the reason why average income also sometimes does not show the whole truth. Because in the average, both the billionaire and the laborer are added together. Income distribution in Japan is considered comparatively more balanced. Therefore, the average income there reflects the standard of living of the common citizen in a much better way. In India, before looking at the average figure, it is necessary to ask where this income is going and to whom it is not reaching. Now let's talk about employment. Unemployment is not just a data point, but the biggest worry for a household. When there are fewer earners in a house and more dependents, both poverty and stress for the family increase. A large portion of employment in India is in the informal sector. That is, many people do work, but without a regular salary, social security and job stability. Street vendors, small shopkeepers, daily wage workers, small farmers, mechanics, tailors and micro-business owners, all of these are a big part of the economy. But it is not easy to accurately capture their situation in GDP data. This very unorganized sector is both the biggest strength and the biggest concern of India's economy. When a policy shock, pandemic, digitization pressure or compliance burden comes, the small people are the first to be affected. Large corporates have accountants, lawyers, and technology systems. Small business owners have less time, capital, and safety cushions. If the design of a reform is not according to small businessmen, they can become weak in the name of formalization. GDP can still grow, because the organized sector is growing. But if the informal sector is getting crushed, there can be pressure on common employment. This is the big debate of GDP measurement. If data mainly comes from the organized sector, then the pain of the informal economy can look less visible. That is why when we say that the economy has become so big, we should also ask simultaneously, how much did the income of the small shopkeeper, farmer and worker increase? Now understand the story of poverty. The government has claimed a big reduction in multidimensional poverty, in which indicators like health, education and living standards are looked at. This improvement is important, because many people have received benefits in electricity, sanitation, bank accounts, housing, and basic services. But it is risky to understand poverty just from one line. Poverty does not just mean staying hungry, but being able to fulfill the minimum needs of a decent life. Today, mobile recharge, transport, education, healthcare, and rent have also become part of basic life. Therefore, the old poverty line cannot fully show today's reality. The World Bank has updated global poverty lines, and the picture of poverty changes on different lines. Reduction in extreme poverty is a big thing, but lower middle income vulnerability can still be a big challenge. This means that many people are not extremely poor, but one illness, job loss or crop loss can push them back into crisis. This is the vulnerable India whose story gets hidden in GDP ranking. It runs the family, pays taxes indirectly, consumes, but its safety net is weak. While comparing with Japan, one will also have to look at health and education. In Japan, life expectancy, public discipline, healthcare access and skill quality are very strong. There has been progress in India too, but the scale is very large. Reaching quality services to more than 140 crore people is not an easy job. Therefore, the challenge for India is not to leave Japan behind in headlines, but to continuously raise the quality of life of its people. Another big difference is of currency. Nominal GDP is measured in dollars. If the exchange rate changes, the ranking can also change. If the rupee weakens, the economy can look smaller in dollar terms. If the yen weakens, Japan's economy can look lower in dollars. Meaning, many times the ranking is more a story of currency movement than the actual life of a citizen. That is why economists look at different measures, like purchasing power parity, nominal GDP, and per capita GDP. Every measure tells a different story. India looks like a large economy in PPP because many services are cheaper here. But for a poor person, everything is not cheap. If healthcare is private, education is expensive, rent is increasing, and fuel is linked to global prices, then there is pressure on low-income families. GDP ranking might be a subject of pride for the government, but the goal of policy should not be ranking, but citizen welfare. If the country becomes the fourth largest economy, but the youth keep wandering for jobs, then questions will be raised. If the farmer's income remains unstable, then questions will be raised. If small businesses get tangled in compliance and large corporates take incentives, then questions will be raised on the quality of growth. Capital expenditure, i.e., investment in highways, railways, power and infrastructure is necessary. This builds the long-term capacity of the economy. Social spending, education, health, nutrition and rural demand are also equally important. Because without human capital, infrastructure remains incomplete. Japan did not just build factories. It invested for a long time in a disciplined workforce, technology, education, healthcare and quality standards. India will also have to do the same. A large population alone does not automatically create a manufacturing power. Skill, health and productivity are needed. If the worker is not trained, health is weak and income is low, then the country's demographic dividend can turn into demographic pressure. Therefore, India's real race is not with Japan, but with its own challenges. The real competition is with unemployment, underemployment, inequality and poor service delivery. National pride is not wrong. One should be proud of India's growth. But it is necessary to keep a distinction between pride and delusion. If someone says that India is moving forward, then this could be correct. But if someone says that India and Japan's living standards have become equal, then this would be a wrong picture. An average Japanese citizen's average income, public services and life security are still much ahead of the average Indian. India's goal should not just be crossing Japan's GDP. The goal should be that an Indian family's income is stable, a child gets a good education, treatment is affordable, and the elderly are safe. GDP headlines can inspire the public, but policy should run on ground reality. If the data is weak, it should be improved. If the informal sector is not visible, it should be captured better in the data. Because confidence built on wrong data is not sustainable. Policies built on correct data are what change the lives of the public. Today, the opportunity before India is very big. Manufacturing shift, digital economy, young workforce, and the domestic market, all these can take India forward. But if growth is not inclusive, then GDP ranking will go up and social frustration will also increase along with it. The story returns to that same house, where a headline was running on the TV that India has overtaken Japan. The father feels proud seeing the screen, but then looks at the bills for school fees, rent, medicine, and job security. He thinks the country must move forward, but its effect should be visible in my life too. This is the common Indian's most honest demand. He does not have a fight with statistics, he wants a better result for his hard work. Therefore, before comparing with Japan, India will have to ask itself a question. Is our growth reaching the common man? Are our policies strengthening small businesses, workers, farmers, women, and the youth? With the GDP rank, are income security, job quality, and public services also improving? If the answer is yes, then India's rise will truly be historic. If the answer is incomplete, then the headline will be big, but the story will remain incomplete. India's economy is growing, there is no doubt in this. But reaching a life quality like Japan's is still a long journey. And the true victory of any country is when its economy becomes not just big, but also reliable, just, and dignified for its citizens.
If this video has taught you something new, or if you feel this information should reach more people, don't forget to like and share the video. Your small share can become valuable and useful information for someone else. If you have any questions related to this topic, or if you would like to share your opinion with us, be sure to write in the comment box. We read every question and suggestion from you, because your feedback inspires us to create better content. And if you want to keep receiving such interesting and reliable information about business, the economy, and the world in the future, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel GRT Business and also press the bell icon so that you get notifications of every new video directly. At GRT Business, we always strive to provide you with accurate, balanced, and reliable information. Our news and analysis are prepared based on information obtained from various news agencies, public sources, and public opinion. We make every effort to verify and validate each fact as much as possible. But in case of any possible error or dispute, the responsibility lies with the respective sources. Our only aim is to present you with a correct and trustworthy perspective so that you can understand any topic better.